Hey, this is the Well Advice Channel 2. What I want to talk about today is the topic of why conservatism creates miserable societies. So for this video, I'm going to explain in a simple and straightforward way why conservatism, when it comes to creating a society, just simply doesn't work in a way that anyone can understand, even those unfamiliar with this topic, so I can help raise awareness to this flawed political ideology that simply doesn't work and never will work, so we can help be on the path towards creating a better world. And that's what I will be discussing today. So now that I mentioned that, let's get started. So when it comes to the first of three main reasons why conservatism sucks, that silly ideology that destroys and ruins literally everything it touches, is that first and foremost, conservatism encourages abuse. Okay, in other words, it encourages abusive relationships, specifically when it comes to abusive families. Okay, because when it comes to conservatism just doesn't work. Okay, it teaches people to think in a way that's it's either this way or it's that way. There's no in between. And even though in life, yes, there are yes and no answers, sometimes in life there is an in-between answer. And conservatism doesn't teach people that. It teaches people to think one way or another. Instead of teaching people to think, in a way where you open up your mind and realize anything is possible. And when it comes to conservatism, specifically relating to family dynamics, it teaches people to believe that the parent is always right. Their parents can do no wrong, let alone authorities, right? The police, the government. But they forget the fact that they're human beings just like everybody else. They make mistakes, okay? And specifically for this first example, I'm referring specifically to the family dynamic, as we're talking about specifically how it creates miserable societies, okay? So when it comes to, of course, how conservatism creates miserable societies, for my first point, is that it just encourages people to have abusive relationships, okay? Because when you look at the past for conservatism, okay, especially when conservatism was as authentically conservatism as possible, and even to this day you still see it online with comments from a lot of conservatives, is that they teach people that your parent is always right, okay? And of course, obviously, we as human beings, all of us for that matter, we all have parents, okay? The human beings can only be born on this planet through a male and a female, okay? That's just how the world works. It's biology 101. So we all have families, and at one point we were all kids, okay? So as a result, we as all of us human beings, since we all have families, okay, we obviously need someone to take care of us, okay? So the thing is, okay, if that's not being done well, then obviously it's making a miserable society. Because the truth of the matter is, a lot of parents, especially in conservative societies, get away with a lot of shit, okay? Whether it could be over punishing their kids, having favoritism towards one kid over the other. You do a specific thing, she acts like it's World War III, while your other kid, like your other sibling, in other words, does something that's way worse and she doesn't make a big fuss about it, okay? Whether he or she, whatever, with conservative societies, it creates that dynamic. And even if, you report it and complain about it, it creates a society where, oh, you're just a kid, you don't know anything, you probably caused it. That is the type of society it creates. Besides, when you look at the past, okay, specifically for conservatism, back in the day, okay, which I was getting a little bit at before, look at all the rules they used to have. They used to have rules where if kids ran away from home, they would arrest them and take them back to their home, no matter the excuse the kid gave. They simply didn't believe it, okay? And even to this very day, when you go online, and you see videos of like kids complaining about their parents, and sometimes the parents are, you can just tell by the situation, using common sense, are abusive. They will go out of their way to say, oh, you don't talk to your parent like that, you don't speak back to your parent, or this and that, when it's as clear as day, the parent doesn't probably even want you to be happy, or in general it's an incompetent person, okay? They're just dumb. And conservatism teaches people that when you're in an abusive relationship, it's pretty much your fault in some way, shape, or form. It's not their fault. It's not the fact that maybe the parent has an anger issue, needs to work on it when he over punishes you for things, for small things. Like you might make a small mistake, you forgot to do this particular thing, and he hits you and beats you, like all that kind of stuff. Conservatism teaches people that the parent is always right, okay? Which we all know, especially nowadays, is not true, especially with the Christian element of it, let alone the religious element. Because I'm talking about conservatism not just for Christian societies, but literally any society, for that matter, okay? It just teaches people the authority, for the family is always right, which just encourages a lot of abuse to happen and creates a lot of very unhappy, miserable individuals when they grow up. And that's one of the biggest reasons why conservatism sucks. It just encourages people to be in toxic relationships with other family members and not actually getting away from them. It just teaches you your parent is always right. Even if you complain about it, even if you go online and vent, okay, this person's making me miserable, and you actually have a legitimate reason. Because some people get sexually assaulted by their parents. It creates a society where more likely people are gonna say you don't speak against your parents and so on and so forth, which is so dumb. So that is the first reason why conservatism creates miserable societies. Because it encourages abuse of a huge portion of the population. Which is just so dumb that people believe this way of thinking that authority is always right. Okay, so that's the first reason why conservatism creates societies. Okay, the second reason why conservatism creates societies, contrary to popular belief that conservatives nowadays will have you believe. Okay, you know, conservatism is actually extremely pro censorship. Okay, before the annoying woke radical left took over and became the face of the left-wing party, conservatism was always the one to was for media censorship. Look it up yourself, okay? When you look at the history of conservatism, it was always for media censorship. Even things that we consider relics of stuff that conservatives listen to and enjoy, such as, from the 1950s, 1960s, 1970s, okay, specifically the 1960s, 1970s, were actually hated by the conservatives at the time. They hated that shit. So what I'm trying to get across here is that conservatives just simply support media censorship, because, they'll say things like, oh, why we have to have movies talking about violence, drugs and all that sort of stuff, which is stupid because it's entertainment. But they're still, even to this day, make that argument, okay, which is a flawed argument, okay, which gets into a very serious topic, more than just simply it being something just like, okay, having entertainment talking about maybe certain particular things like violence and stuff. It gets in a topic that's very important of media censorship. People censoring the media instead of letting people express themselves freely through the media, which obviously is not a good thing and can lead to tyranny, okay? Let alone it creates miserable societies because you can't enjoy things. All these things that we take so for granted today, like being able to watch a movie that's violent, and stuff, which is just entertainment because no one's really getting killed, so big whoop. Like all those cowboy movies in the 1950s, all those mafia movies, and even drug movies like drug cartel movies like Scarface and stuff, and even music that actually sounds enjoyable and not just about talking about Jesus, was actually hated by conservatives at the time. Okay? So whenever you start saying that conservatives make society better, you're definitely wrong. They actually create very miserable societies of people who don't have much freedom. And it just encourages people who just really want to abuse their kids to get away with it, and you can't do shit about it. Okay? You can't contact authority, and you go online and you have all these weird ass Christians, and it's always Christians, okay? Like I'm not against Christianity in general as a whole. I actually believe people have the right to believe what they want to believe, but I'm gonna keep it real with y'all, okay? The Christians who fuck things up are the masters at fucking everything up, okay? And that's exactly what I'm trying to get across here, okay? They are so good at ruining everything for everybody. They're even trying to go on Instagram, especially if you're on Instagram. Oh God, hopefully you're not. Stay on YouTube, my people. Stay on YouTube, okay? Like if you're on Instagram, God forbid, which is a beacon for right wing bullshit, you will notice that there is a lot of bullying, that Christians are trying to do to people who believe in evolution and stuff. They're like they just ruin everything, and they do the same thing with people who complain about abusive families, which is so stupid. Like once again, for my second point, to sum up my second point, because this is part one of my video, conservatives are just showing that they just ruin everything. And when it comes to media censorship, it's no different.